Okay, let's dive into something, well, something we've probably all done. You hop online, maybe just for a quick check, the weather, a recipe, something simple.
Hmm.
And then, like, an hour vanishes. You suddenly realize you're deep into watching some celebrity's public meltdown. Or maybe it's one of those really intense videos about, I don't know, the end of the world.
Yeah, that rabbit hole feeling.
Exactly. And there's this weird mix of disgust and fascination, right? You just can't seem to look away. The big question is, why? Why does that happen?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And the answer, according to the sources we're looking at today, isn't really about the content. It's about brain chemistry.
Right. And that's our mission for this deep dive, to really pull apart the intentional design behind all that viral chaos. We're digging into this framework called LoopSpeak, specifically focusing on something called the fear loop, which comes from research by Devin McClarty.
Hmm.
The whole point for you listening is that this framework argues pretty strongly that platforms are, well, basically hijacking your emotions for profit.
Yeah, that's the core thesis, really. You're not hooked on the video itself, the specific disaster, or the specific person's train wreck. You're actually addicted to the chemical loops, these powerful reactions that the content triggers deep inside your brain. It's ancient wiring.
And understanding that is supposed to be the key, the first step to becoming what the source called a conscious consumer, moving away from just being passively pulled along.
Exactly. Less passive subject, more active observer of your own reactions.
So this shift starts by understanding how they trigger us. The framework talks about this fight, flee, feel cycle, calls it YouTube's or really any platform's kind of hidden engine for keeping us watching.
It forces your brain into this primal state, yeah.
Yeah.
Bypasses the logical part.
Okay, so if retention, keeping us glued, is the goal, what are the main loops they use, the really powerful ones?
Well, the research highlights two big ones. They target that ancient circuitry, the stuff that doesn't really think, it just reacts. Danger, social standing,
Yeah.
gut feelings.
Gotcha. So let's talk about the first one. This seems to explain why we get drawn into watching other people's public failures or messy lives. It's called the self-destruction loop.
Right. This is all about content showing personal chaos, addiction, public figures falling from grace, that sort of thing.
And the chemistry here sounds weird. It says dopamine plus shame. How does that work? Those feel like opposites.
Well, this shame isn't your shame exactly. It's projected. You watch someone else mess up, maybe spectacularly, and there's this instant psychological payoff. It's a feeling of, like, superiority, maybe,
Yeah.
and definitely relief.
Okay. So the internal thought is something like,
Phew, at least I'm not that bad. That's the core of it.
so it's social comparison, basically. But it's giving you a little dopamine hit because watching their failure validates your choices, makes you feel competent, even if just for a moment.
Precisely. Validation through watching someone else's, well, perceived degradation. It's potent.
Okay, that makes a strange kind of sense. Now, how does that contrast with the second big one you mentioned, the fear loop?
The fear loop is different. It's more direct, more about immediate survival instincts. Think horror movies, yes, but also dystopian futures, news about potential disasters, political anxiety,
Yeah.
anything that feels like a threat.
So this is our brain doing like survival practice, running simulations.
Exactly. It's a form of survival rehearsal. And the chemical mix here shifts. It's
That-
not dopamine and shame. It's adrenaline, that fight or flight rush combined with intense curiosity.
Adrenaline and curiosity. Okay, I can see how that would be compelling. It triggers that basic, urgent question.
What happens next? Absolutely. It's evolutionary. If your brain perceives a threat, it is hardwired to pay attention until it knows the outcome. Is it safe? Is it resolved?
I have to see it through.
You biologically need to. And that need, that imperative, is what keeps you watching, keeps you scrolling. It overrides other impulses.
Wow. Okay, so the chemistry is powerful. But the framework argues this isn't just random luck, right? The structure of the content matters too.
Oh, absolutely. If the chemistry is the fuel, the structure is the engine built to burn it efficiently. The most addictive stuff, the research claims, follows a pretty predictable four-step pattern. It's designed to basically give you controlled panic.
Controlled panic. Okay, let's break down those 4 steps. How does it work?
Right, so we're moving from the why, the chemistry, to the how. Step 1 is shock.
Got to grab you immediately.
Instantly. First few seconds. A sudden cue of chaos, danger, something startling. Think of that shocking image in the thumbnail, or the video starting right in the middle of an argument or an accident. Has to stop you scrolling, triggers that first hit of adrenaline.
Okay, shock. Then what?
Step 2, identification. This is crucial. The content needs to make you feel somehow that this could relate to you. It creates
Makes
vulnerability.
it personal.
Yeah, that feeling of, wow, under slightly different circumstances, that could be me. The abstract threat becomes potentially real, relevant to your life.
But that feeling is uncomfortable, right?
Mm-hmm.
Vulnerability isn't something we like to sit with.
Exactly. Which leads straight to step 3, justification. Your brain needs to regain control fast. So you mentally simulate how you would handle it better.
Ah, the I would have done it differently moment.
Precisely. The internal monologue is almost always, I wouldn't have made that mistake, or they should have seen that coming, or here's what I would do.
And that feels good. That gives you another hit.
A big one. It's dopamine again. But this time from feeling superior, competent, in control, you're essentially patting yourself on the back for being smarter or more prepared than the person on screen. It engages that self-destruction loop's reward mechanism, even if the video isn't about personal failure.
So you get the adrenaline rush from the shock and identification, then a dopamine boost from the justification. Clever.
Very. And that brings us to the final step, the payoff. Step 4, relief.
The danger passes, the video ends.
And all that chemical tension that built up gets released.
Hmm.
That release, that catharsis feels good. It's pleasurable.
And that pleasure is what makes you want to do it again.
Bingo. It conditions your brain. You subconsciously crave that release again, so you scroll down, find the next shocking thumbnail, and boom, you're right back in the loop. Shock, identification, justification, relief. Repeat.
So the insight here is kind of disturbing. The most successful creators aren't just entertainers, they're what regulators of emotion.
That's the term the framework uses, yeah.
Huh.
They're providing these little hits of controlled panic, but always with that guaranteed addictive feeling of relief at the end.
Okay, so we get the chemistry, we get the structure. Now let's talk money, the economics of it all. Why is this kind of chaos content apparently so much more viral, so much more profitable than, say, calm, rational stuff? A video explaining something peacefully just doesn't seem to hit the same way.
It's biology, pure and simple. The framework puts it very bluntly. Calm ends the chemical loop.
Ah,
If you feel resolved, peaceful, relaxed,
ah.
there's no biological need to stay engaged. Your brain says, okay, threat over, move on. You scroll past.
But chaos?
Chaos demands your attention until you get that feeling of resolution, that relief. You have to wait for it.
And that waiting translates directly into profit.
Absolutely. It props up what the research identifies as 3 pillars of profit for platforms and creators who master this LoopSpeak stuff. First, the obvious one, longer retention.
Because your brain won't let you leave until the perceived threat is resolved. More watch time equals more ads, more revenue.
Exactly, that's the foundation. Pillar number 2 is tribal identification.
How does that work?
Sharing fear, or maybe outrage, is incredibly powerful for building community. You get these highly engaged groups forming around, we all hate this, or we're all scared of that.
Creates loyalty.
Huge loyalty.
Yeah.
People come back day after day to reinforce that shared anxiety, that shared identity. It keeps them locked into that specific creator or community. Very valuable.
Okay, longer retention, tribal ID. What's the third pillar?
This one's a bit more sophisticated. Crop funnel profits. Think of a single viral crisis video, maybe a political scandal, a natural disaster clip, whatever, as the center of a whole ecosystem.
It spawns other content.
Tons of it. Reaction videos pop up immediately, then analysis channels break it down, satire accounts make fun of it, sometimes there's even merchandise related to it. That initial piece of chaos becomes the nucleus for multiple cascading revenue streams. The destruction itself becomes scalable.
Wow. Okay, so it's clear this isn't just luck or random chance. Building content that reliably triggers these loops and follows the structure, it sounds like it takes real skill.
Oh, definitely. The framework points out it's multidisciplinary. You need to understand behavioral psychology, obviously. You need expertise in narrative architecture, how to structure the setup, conflict, release. You need to be good at data reading, seeing what's working, and cultural linguistics, knowing which fears or anxieties are hot right now in society, which buttons to push.
It's a whole intellectual infrastructure, as the source calls it, all aimed at maximizing that primal urge to see the threat through.
They're not just hoping you get hooked. They're engineering the situation to make it almost impossible for your brain not to stay engaged, waiting for that relief.
Okay, let's recap. We've talked about the chemistry, the self-destruction loop with its dopamine shame mix, and the fear loop driven by adrenaline and curiosity.
Right, and the 4-step structure that delivers it. Shock, identification, justification, and finally, that addictive relief.
And then the economics behind it, why chaos keeps us watching longer, builds tribes, and spins off into more profits, ultimately because calm just doesn't trigger the same biological need to stay engaged.
And really, understanding this whole architecture, this LoopSpeak system, that's the key takeaway for you, the listener. It's how you shift from just being passively manipulated by these emotional triggers.
To becoming that conscious consumer, recognizing the pattern as it happens, seeing the shock tactic, feeling the pull of identification, noticing yourself doing that justification thing.
And understanding that the relief you feel afterwards isn't just satisfaction. It's a physiological hook designed to bring you back for more. It gives you back a little bit of control.
So, next time you find yourself falling down that rabbit hole, stuck watching something intense that you maybe feel you shouldn't be, just pause for a second. Remember what might actually be pulling your strings. It's probably not just the content.
It's a calculated chemical experience designed to make you simulate survival over and over again.
Powerful stuff.
And maybe we should leave you with the closing thought from the framework itself. It really sums up this whole digital economy of chaos, gives you something to chew on. The audience doesn't crave peace, they crave proof they can survive chaos.
Something to think about. Until the next deep dive, keep questioning your feed.